can tell me because I don't know.
All right, that's okay.
I got it down here in the book.
Okay, so, Miss Lucy, would you
1884.
please introduce yourself?
I'm Lucy Gottleib.
Okay.
My maiden name was Amato. I came from Atlanta, Georgia, with my husband, who was from Savannah, Georgia, in 1950, right after we were married in Atlanta.
Okay. And you are?
Murray Gottlieb,
Okay.
son of Lucy Gottlieb.
All right.
And I was born in Savannah and lived here until it was time to go to college and left for, I don't know, 4 years of college, 20 years of other things, and came back to Savannah about 13 years ago.
Hi. The reason why I was so interested in having you two in particular talk to me is not a matter of longevity, but the significance that your family has in this particular community. Will you tell me something about what your family does, what you provide, and how you have earned a niche so that so many of the population call you Aunt Lucy and can't get along without you, Murray?
Uncle Murray. Everyone calls me Uncle Murray.
You go ahead.
Yeah, you can say, I think they came to Savannah. Our relatives, which my great grandfather, came to Savannah in 1884, maybe 1884, and he and his wife and future brothers, whatever, went to the bakery business when it was horse and buggy bakery business, and that business remained open in Savannah for many years until probably the late 1990s.
Yeah.
Was it 1990s?
Middle 1990s.
Middle 1990s. That was my grandfather's brothers. My grandfather, who's Joe Gottlieb, started a deli back in probably in his 40s. Was it in the 40s? Joe Gottlieb was. Anyway, he left his brothers in the bakery part and went to the food service part, and he began a delicatessen. And there was a need for kosher in Savannah, and he decided that he would bring in deli products, smoked fish, different things from other parts of the country where we couldn't get it from, Chicago, New York, and that's what began Gottlieb's delicatessen. My father, Alan Gottlieb, later came in and expanded it, and he built a brand new store, had a larger restaurant, had more of a kosher, more kosher products. And he was probably one of the first people to bring in different products to Savannah, like Dannon yogurt. He was the first person to bring in Dannon yogurt, first person to have a soft serve yogurt machine. He was an innovator. He always would go to New York and look for things and bring them back to Savannah because it was exciting to him, and that's what he liked to do. That business, which is my father's business, is still in existence because now I do it. I'm part of the synagogue here, the B'nai B'rith Jacob Synagogue, and I run the food service here at BB Jacob Synagogue. So it's from 1800s to 2000s. We're still here, still feeding, serving the Jewish community. This is my mother, who has been with my father until my father passed away in 2003, and she was an assurance salesperson and later became involved in the business, helped my father in catering and in other parts of the business.
I'm going to stop for just a sec. Something a little unorthodox, and I'm going to ask you to define some terms. And I'm going to give a question to each of you first. What's in a name? The name Amato is not necessarily a name you would hear from a traditional Ashkenazic background. So would you explain something about your family background and about maybe customs that might have been different when you became a Kala?
Thank you.
My mother and father were both born in Rhodes, Greece, what was then Greece, and it was the Isle of Rhodes. All of the Sephardic community, there were a total of about 5,000 Sephardic Jews in that community in the 1900s until the First World War. Before the World War I in 1918, my mother and father, they were not married then, they were married in the United States. They got married actually here in Savannah. pardon me, in Atlanta. But all of their sisters and brothers, fortunately, were able to leave Rhodes before the Holocaust came, and they came to New York, to Atlanta. Many of them went to California, but my mother and my father were single when they came. My father worked in a hospital in New York, and my mother came on to Savannah, to Atlanta with her mother and father and sisters. And after that, the congregation in Rhodes was decimated during the Holocaust in 1935 by the Nazis. At least 2,000 Jews died, and it's a beautiful community. I visited there in 2006. The actual island is just absolutely beautiful.
And I think it's Italy, right?
And now it is.
Is it Italy or Greece?
It's under Greece domination right now. The synagogue, the original synagogue, is still there, and it's quite a place for people to visit. There are a number of visits still there. And anyway, then my father moved from New York. I'm not sure what year, but came to Atlanta, and he and his sister's husband and the husband's brother all went into the delicatessen business in Atlanta.
Two sides.
On Peachtree Street. And in fact, Margaret Mitchell, who wrote Gone with the Wind, used to come in to eat in their delicatessen and was evidently writing Gone with the Wind at the same time while she was eating. And they had a number of very interesting popular people who came into that place because it was Peachtree Street. It was not too far from the Fox Theater. But anyway, I helped my father being his cashier. I was not Shomer Shabbos at the time, so after school was out on Friday, I'd go in to help him, and I became his cashier. And he inspired me because he was a very loving man, very talented, and he and my mother, I think of all of their goodness and what wonderful people they were. And their genes have come down, thank God, to my boys and my daughter and their families, and we're very grateful.
What is so amazing to me is you're from a deli family and you married into a deli family.
Exactly.
All right. So actually, the question and the plot thickens, because Murray, I'm going to ask you a question. In Judaism, what's in a name? What does it mean to have a good name in Jewish tradition? And tell me a little bit about what made you want to follow in your father's footsteps.
Well, what's in a name? Well, as far as our business, we just have always tried to be as honest as possible and not to, you never, not an ounce do you cheat anybody out of. And that's how you stay around for a long time. And that's how you are at peace with yourself. You may not get rich, but you'll be happy. Anyway, I went into this business. I guess I used to work in my father's store on Bull Street for years on the weekends, and at that time, I didn't enjoy it because they made me do it. But as time went on, I enjoyed it, and then I enjoyed food service, and I enjoyed retail, and I went to when I went to college, I decided to go to Cornell University to the food service, not food service, but the hospitality school. And I got a Bachelor of Science in actually in food science. So that was the beginning of saying, okay, I'm going to be dedicated to doing this. And from there, I came and helped my parents with their deli, with their catering, and been here, like I said, off and on since. I did open a delicatessen in Memphis, Tennessee, which we had about 12 years. And my wife is from Memphis, and then we decided to move back here to Savannah when my father was ill, and been here ever since, carrying on that tradition.
Before I come back to the idea of tradition, I want to ask you some very specific questions about growing up Jewish in Savannah, or more specifically, maybe growing up Jewish in the South. What types of activities did you experience? Any type of anti-Semitism growing up? who were your friends, and tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, Savannah, I mean, I didn't know any different from any other city, but we didn't really have, when we grew up, our friends were the kids who we were basically Jewish friends of all the Jewish population here. It was a larger, I think it was a larger population than as far as kids our age. And so we didn't lack for anything. We had the Jewish Education Alliance we would go to and play and do other things. And we had the Hebrew Community School in the afternoon we'd go to. And that was our life, and we enjoyed it. And at that point, again, we weren't Shomer Shabbos. None of us were Shomer Shabbos. That came later on as I think my brother began, as he became introduced to it for some teachers at the day school. My sister went to the day school. She was at that age where they first started day school. We weren't able to go to day school because there was none here. So that's how we became more involved in Judaism and Shomer Shabbos and Kashrus. But as far as growing up in Savannah in the younger days, there was some anti-Semitism, and I don't know if it was like that all over the world, but we would be, I know a lot of times I was one of the older, a bigger kid, so I would be left with responsibility to when we had things at night here on a Jewish holiday to walk the kids home to different neighborhoods, and just about every single time we were accosted by people in cars. They would stop and want to beat us up. And so it came to a point where I just would have tear gas with me when I walked the kids home, and when the people would start to get out of the car, I would say, "Get out." I'd have my tear gas, and they wouldn't get out. So at that point, people weren't shooting people, so it was okay. You know, if you threatened them, they left. So that became, I mean, it was a regular thing through the years, like every year, and even up till this point. Even walking home in Habersham Woods, in the last few years, we've been had bottles thrown at us at nighttime. We've had cars stop and yell at us, you know, nasty things because we're Jewish. So it's never stopped, and it's never been a majority of the people doing it. It's just stupid late night people who are drunk. And so to answer the question, I guess as far as Savannah goes, I've never really had a problem with anti-Semitism as far as in business or pretty much as an adult, but as a kid and as a person just walking the streets in Savannah, you still get the occasional crazy person. It happens to this day. You still have the people that stop and want to throw things at you, but it's, like I said, it's not a majority, and you don't see it really during the day. You see it only.
What about more subtle? You said you don't have any problems in business, but when you were growing up, were there clubs or sports you wanted to participate in that you couldn't because you were Jewish?
No, I never had a problem with that. Never had anybody tell me I was Jewish and I couldn't participate in anything in Savannah. I never had that problem.
Did you ever have incidents that were reported to the police, and what was the police reaction?
No, never really did have
You just handled it?
We just handled ourselves. We never really reported anything to the police. So I really, and even with police or even government, I've never had here in Savannah any kind of problem with anti-Semitism as far as, anything really.
All right, so.
Which, in fact, people always say when new people come in town, they say, "Do you wear your yarmulke out in the city and to this part of town?" I said, "I wear my yarmulke everywhere." I said, "You know what? I've been in every part of town with it on." I said, "I've never had a problem. I've walked from here to downtown with it, never had a problem." I said, "So I don't feel like I'm in danger when I wear my yarmulke in Savannah." Yeah. Maybe other cities, but not Savannah. Savannah's pretty.
When Alan and I came back from Israel, he had not worn a yarmulke all the time in Savannah. But when he came back from Israel, he made a pledge to wear a yarmulke. He felt like he had been a complete Jew by that time. So he wore a yarmulke, and he'll never forget, he went to one of the grocery stores, and somebody called him Rabbi, and he just thought that was so funny. But that came, all of this change in our admiration of Yiddishkeit came after my daughter went to the day school, because we were in touch with so many of the fine teachers that were here in Savannah. Not only for the teachers, but also for, like Rabbi Boris Taub was the NCSY director here. He was so good at what he did, and he influenced us all so much that he actually went up to NCSY and became the national director there in New York after he left Pierce, and then went on to Toronto, Canada, and became the rabbi of the largest congregation, Jewish congregation of all of North America. So we had that quality. Rabbi Moshe Pasik, who is now very, very active and very important to the Torah Masorah. We had some very, very, I can't think of anyone who came here to teach and to help our children in their organizations that wasn't committed in a 100% way. They and their wives, and it's still going on today. Our kollel today is so dedicated.
What do you think the draw is to come to a small area in the South like Savannah? Why do people come here, especially when it's not as easy to be a committed Jew in an area this small with a lack of resources? What is it about Savannah that you think attracts people? And the counter to that, what is it that the Jewish population, do you think, brings to Savannah that has really enhanced the quality of life here?
When people come here, for instance, like the rabbi, wasn't Rabbi Mr. Stephen, what was his last name from the OU who spoke here?
Yeah, Savitsky.
Savitsky. He came here. He and his wife and his granddaughter were here, and he spoke. And he was thoroughly engaged by the people in this community. He could not get over their kindnesses to each other and to the visitors. When we get visitors here, we are very grateful that they're here. We extend ourselves to them in any way we can. We try to accommodate them where necessary, and obviously that reputation is passed on.
Yeah, living in Savannah, you are a actual person, not another person, but you're a person that everybody knows. So in New York, you can walk the streets and pretty much nobody's going to say hello to you. I don't care if it's a religious community, and nobody's going to really talk to you. In Savannah, you see somebody has a yarmulke on at the grocery store, you go over to them, you say, "Can I help you?" And they're like amazed. They're like, "What? Can you help me?" Nobody's ever, they're amazed that they're actually a person, meeting a person, getting help from another person. You're not just another number. It's a personal thing here. And so that's what keeps a lot of people here. In fact, the kollel, before the current kollel, we had a kollel before that. When that kollel disbanded, those people didn't even leave. I mean, that was their time to say, "Okay, time to go back to where I came from." They stayed here. Why? Because they like it. They say they just like the easiness, the slower, it's a slower atmosphere. It's just a nicer, personal. It just makes you feel at home, and this is why people come here, I think, because they feel at home.
And we're fortunate because our children who are going to the Rambam Day School, they obviously have an influence of their parents too, and the parents are committed to each other, and they're now in fact talking very much about having a high school here. And if they have a high school here, the population, the Jewish population in Savannah will definitely grow, because it needs that an additional high school for the children to go to. Many of them who leave here now from Rambam are going to learning in Israel or learning in America. My daughter, for instance, went to Memphis to learn when she left the 8th grade. And
he never came back.
and she met his wife there, and his wife then decided that she should introduce her to her brother. And that's how that should have took place.
All right, so Atlanta, Memphis, a little bit of northern cities thrown in. Is the hospitality that you speak of, the warm welcome, the Hamisha community, is that a Savannah thing, a Jewish thing, or a Southern thing?
Can be all three.
I agree. I think it's all three.
But Savannah is just a warm community. I mean, we just happen to be very open to receiving new people because we want new people here. We want the population to grow here. And so it is a Jewish thing, it is a Southern thing, but it's also a definite Savannah thing.
I want to go back to your childhood and just ask what attempts were made either through the Jewish community or the schools, the Jewish schools, to get young people to meet other Jewish young people. And was it a in-town Savannah experience, or do you remember meeting other children from small Jewish communities around the South?
Well, because of NCSY, we were introduced to kids from all over the South. And it was a larger area then. It was from Miami to pretty much Memphis. It was a larger community than it is now. As far as it's a smaller. They break it off into smaller sections now. Then it was just a very large area, and we met a lot of kids from so many places because that was the NCSY. That's what they did. They got kids together, just as they do now. They get kids together, and they try to teach them to be, to respect your religion. And if you get to more, that's fine. If not, they don't say bad boy. They just let you do what you're comfortable with. So that's how pretty much we became friendly with other kids in other communities, just through NCSY. And also there's what was it? The JEA. We had the
EBYO?
BBYO, yes. So that was.
There was Young Judea also, but
yeah, right. But we were more involved with the NCSY here at the synagogue.
What's changed? What's changed in the community that, for the good or for the bad, that keeps us from having the numbers of children that we seem to have when you were growing up? Is it just that people aren't having as many children? People are coming back to Savannah because they love to live here? How come it is that we don't seem to be able to sustain a lot of the activities for young people that we were able to in the 40s, 50s, and 60s? Any ideas?
When the young people leave here, as they go off to college, they are meeting other young people in college, and generally those colleges are in New York, in most of the northern city, Chicago, Philadelphia, wherever. And interestingly enough, they're getting married to people from the northern community. An example of that is that my grandchildren from Texas, and Texas is a very big Orthodox community there, they went up to school in New York, and they met other young people, and they have stayed in New York. Their occupations are there, and they love where they came from, but it just so happens that their families are growing in the northern cities.
Also, Atlanta's growing so much. Atlanta, Jewish-wise, is growing tremendously because if you want to stay in the South, you go to Atlanta because you have, pretty much you have the people. You have over 100,000 Jews. You have probably more as far as Jewish foods go, and probably programming. And so Atlanta offers a lot. Plus, it offers, besides Jewish things, it offers, the rest of culture. So people do go to Atlanta. I think where Atlanta is a bigger community, it's grown so much more than Savannah because they have so much more to offer as far as you can still be in the South and have the South feeling, but you can have more of the things that young people want to have and more of the excitement that they want to have. So that's why I think Savannah is maybe not grown as much. Plus, if you don't have a complete school system, that's why the kids go away.
That's it.
And once the kids go away, like I said, it's hard to get them back. Like I came back 20 years later, and they may come back 20 years later, but you would like to have them here during the time when they were growing up, and it can be more of a productive community. And so that would be wonderful, but I think until Savannah offers more as far as education, you really can't get the kids to stay here that you want to stay here to make it a more Jewish community.
Is there something that the secular community, through the Chamber of Commerce, through ethnic tourism, is there something that the secular community can do to aid us to help grow our very small but effective Jewish community?
I don't know if they can do it, but right now, my brother is in charge of a Jewish outreach in Savannah. So he goes to shows in New York, and they send out literature to people in the different cities, and they try to get people to move here. A family's moving here this week that he had an outreach to, and so they're moving here this week. It's a slow process, but at least you get some people coming in. Because once people visit here, a lot of people don't like the hustle bustle, close. Everything's just too close. Everything's too crowded. They like to have a place where you can live in the street. Is you can drive 4 cars down the street at the same time. Where in New York, you can't get 1 car down the street because it's too small. So it's a nice place, and when people when people can get what they want here, Jewish-wise, they do consider moving here. Like I said, it just needs to be more of an educational system so they can not go away. We need to keep them here.
That's the key.
What
I don't
is
think
your,
the city has not done anything. I don't think the city could do anything as far as that goes. I think it's up to us in the Jewish community to keep our kids here.
what is your favorite memory growing up? Burris?
Well, favorite where you going?
Must have been all the beautiful animals that you
Well, I'm an animal lover, and I did have a lot of animals growing up, and a lot of dogs that I finally remember. I guess growing up, it was just being with the kids that I was very friendly with. We playing ball and just, I didn't know anything different, but it was just such a nice. It was a play. It was just not. It was nothing. There was no pressure on us. We did our thing. We played. We got educated, and there was no pressure on us to do. No bad influences. I guess we'd had, if we were in a larger city with more influences, we would have had a problem with that. But really, it was really my peers. They never got in trouble. The worst they did was, came home late for supper. I mean, it was nothing. There was no drug problem. There was no, police problem. It was different. It was a different era, and their families cared for them and loved them, and they educated them. Where in these days, I'm not just saying the Jewish community, but a lot of the world, a lot of the communities, they don't have that presence of family that keeps them grounded. And that's the problem all over the country now. So
I'm going to come back to you and your traditions, and then I'm going to just ask one final question and wrap this up. And that is that some of the traditions that you grew up with were not only different from the secular traditions, but even different, again, from the majority of Jewish traditions that are as practiced here in Savannah. What is your favorite tradition from either the Sephardic or the Ashkenazic? And what is it that you hope you instilled in your children?
no.
I think the Sephardic tradition is one of respect for your family, for your religion, and it's also one of happiness. What I remember mostly about all the members of my mother and father's family in Atlanta is that they were all so cheerful. And that was in the days where the Depression was going on, and you didn't make a substantial living, but you did the best you could. But nobody ever complained. That's what was so astonishing. Now, on the other hand, I think that the Ashkenazi community is so balanced and so well educated in terms of all the yeshivas and all of the brilliant minds who have come up through the centuries and have passed down the laws that are still valid today and which are still being taught today and which are making us a better community because of it.
I'm not even sure you remember, but years ago, Morning Star is now 25 years old, the very first project that we ever did was a literary journal. And I wrote a section in the literary journal about food, and you gave me one of the best answers. So many people said, why would you put recipes in a literary journal? And it was because, we are what we eat, and certainly in the Jewish tradition, food has so much to do with who we are as a people. So I realized that I might not have asked you everything about Savannah and your relationship to Savannah, so maybe you can pull this conversation back to that. But tell me a little bit about how food is such a big influence in your life and how it speaks to both your Savannah tradition and your Jewish tradition.
Well, I mean, food is what we do. So to me, it's an exciting thing. I like to do different, besides the traditional foods that we always do and always will do. It's fun to see people's reaction to the new foods that we do, and to get excitement. People get excited when you give them things they like and something new and something delicious. And so that's why we had Andrew Zimmer from Bizarre Foods America came through here, and we wanted a segment because we showed him that besides the traditional foods, we were incorporating things that were a little bit weird into our menu and not typically Jewish, and he liked that, and that's why they did this segment. It was an exciting time. So we like to do these kind of things. We like to bring new things to the table and to make it exciting for us and for the customers. So, it's a combination of the old and the new, and we continually learn because you see something, you try to. It's just a picture in a magazine. That's what I like to do. I look through magazines, and not necessarily recipes to get the recipe, but I like to see what people are making and then make it my way. Because I don't really cook by recipes, but I do. I like to get ideas from people, and then you incorporate those ideas into your mind. Your mind just says, okay, let's make this. So that's what's exciting about the food business to me, and that's what drives me and keeps me going here. And I like the fact that we're in the synagogue now, cooking in the kitchen here, which is a large, beautiful kitchen, and it's easy to produce things that we want to produce now. So that's about it. It's just that's what makes it exciting for me.
He definitely inherited the family gene, starting with his great-grandfather and all the way down. And his father was an inspiration.
And my father also loved to just cook different things, and he didn't have to make a profit on it. He just wanted to make it, and no matter how small or how large, he just had a great time doing it.
And he sang while he was cooking.
Always.
Any particular song?
I just hum.
He just anything that was in the air for that particular period of time, he caught onto it and sang it. He was really a sweet guy.
Maybe that bit of happiness he gets from you and your traditions. So I guess basically, if food kind of fuses everything because it gives you a future and you can alter it, but it also provides a memory of some things that are both sweet and bittersweet in your past.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much. I think it was a good interview.
Thank you
And I
very
hope you
much.
enjoyed it. Okay. What is cholent? Tell me about cholent.
Cholent, and I don't know exactly the name of the meaning of the word. It does have a meaning, and it actually pertains to what it is. But it's like a stew. But anyway, cholent, it originated many, many years ago when people probably didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of resources, and whatever they had left over from the week went into this pot, the cholent pot, for Shabbos. Now, Shabbos is a time where we don't cook. When I say we don't cook anything that day, but anything you have cooking before the Shabbos starts is okay. It can cook. It cooks for 24 hours. We eat it for lunch, and it's just a conglomeration of foods. So we'd have people put meat in it. They put beans. They put rice. They put just any carrots, potatoes, celery, anything that they want to have. It's like an all-night stew. The origination was more of a whatever you have left over from the week, you put in the pot. Now it's more like people. It's a thing where they. It's a
tradition.
It's a tradition, more of a tradition, but it's like who can make the best cholent. In fact, we have here at the synagogue a cholent making contest every year. So the person with the best cholent wins. Anyway, so and I make a cholent every week for the kiddush out here, and I make it a parv cholent, which means there's no meat or milk in it. So and I use just vegetables, potatoes, barley, this kind of thing. And we make a delicious cholent every week, and we season it with all kinds of flavors, which I can't speak about because it's a secret. And anyway, that's what a cholent is. It's delicious. Taste it any Saturday.
Is there a definition for cholent, Rabbi?
What does cholent mean? Cholent it meant something. The word means something.
That means a mixture. Or
It could be.
That's how it's used. I don't know what came first, but
Yeah, I know the word cholent means.
The cholent
something.
of the egg?
I can't think what it means. I've read it many times. I can't think what it is. I feel like
mixture.
It could be mixture.
In Israel, they call it samin, which means hot, like a hot food.
Hot. Tell me.
Hot food.
Hamim?
Hamim.
Hamim.
Amin.
Got it. So
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank you.